All right. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well today. It's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Montreal. Nice and sunny outside. It's a beautiful day. So I'll definitely be getting back outside after this call. So today I'm going to teach the Passion to Profit framework, which is the first part of the drum studio owner's blueprint. Has three different frameworks: the Passion to Profit framework, the Success Through Authenticity framework, and the Time Saving Teacher framework. So each of those teaches a different aspect of how to grow, and then run a studio efficiently, and also how to find your dream students so that you can really enjoy what you're doing and get some of your time back. That's the most important thing as we grow our studios, is that it doesn't overwhelm us and just kind of one student shouldn't equal 1x or 2x more time or whatever. It shouldn't work like that. If we've developed systems and have automation and that kind of thing, it should be that we could take 10 new students before adding a tiny bit of more admin work and that kind of thing. So today I'm going to teach the Passion to Profit framework. Just going to close the window, which is sort of if you're, it works for day one teachers. So if this is like you're just starting your studio, then this is meant for you. But also if you have a studio and you're finding your own students, but you would like to get students sort of from different what's the word, like angles, I guess, then you'll probably be able to pick up a few things today from that as well. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna do screen share. So this is the Passion to Profit framework. So scale a studio without sacrificing your passion for teaching, for music, all that kind of thing. I remember when our first studio started growing, I got burnt out really quick because I didn't have the systems in place that I needed. I didn't have anyone to show me this stuff. So it was basically we grew really fast, and then I just was kind of like crashing and burning and floundering to figure out how to make it all work. So that's what we don't want. We don't want to get in like 20 new students and then just have like 5-10 hours a week more work. That isn't going to work as like a long-term sort of strategy for running our studio. So so yeah, that's it. That's what this is talking about, is sort of how to get students. And then if you continued with the program or bought the book, there's the book How to Run a Successful Drum Studio. It talks about the time saving teacher framework, which is how to think about and develop automation and templates and that kind of thing. So essentially there isn't too much more work. But I have a little thing I'm going to teach at the end that is sort of the mediary between growing your studio and getting to the time saving teacher framework. There's a middle step that you can do as well that can help. So I'm going to talk about that later. So here we go, the Passion to Profit framework. So yeah, at the quick story backstory is when I was trying to be a professional musician. I was gigging a lot with my jazz band. We were playing every week. We had a residency at a jazz club. I got us a weekly gig at a venue where we were throwing this thing called a jazz party. At some point, we had two different jazz parties going on, and yeah, a regular gig at a jazz club. So we were playing a lot, but it wasn't. It was original jazz music. We weren't making a lot of money, but I was really trying to make that my living. We were touring, all of that stuff. We were doing it all. And I was teaching a bit, but I didn't see it as sort of a career choice. I just saw it as a way to get my rent money at the end of each month, and that kind of thing, take care of my responsibilities. So, and I also thought of, I guess that's an ego thing. I was still telling myself that I wanted to be a professional musician and that I wasn't a teacher. So for me, that seemed like if I was going to be a teacher, that I had failed as a professional musician. So yeah, that was back at the beginning. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just going to kind of talk and get through this stuff. But the change for me when I kind of changed my mindset from that teaching was kind of a dead end, and that it wasn't like a valid career, was well, we started getting a few extra students, but it wasn't until I read this book by this guy Jay Abraham. So it was a business book. And up until that point, I hadn't really read too many business books. I wasn't thinking of myself as like a business owner. I was still thinking of myself as a professional musician who was just teaching to kind of pay the bills. But I found this book, and it's called something like 21 Power Principles for Your Business. Something, if you look up Jay Abraham and type something like that, you're going to find it. It's very like, it's dry. It's not like those types of books are not exciting, but I really like them. And so I was reading the book, and he was talking about things like how to increase your revenue. That there was three different ways. Instead of, I was always trying to like, I need to get a new student, I need to make more money, I need to get a new student. But he was talking about things like geometric growth, where you can, if you think about sort of your studio as more of a holistic thing, there's actually many different avenues you can get income from. So the first one that he talked about was uh, getting. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It was how there's three ways to increase the income of your business. One is to get new clients in. So that's one, get new students. Two is to get increase the average of each transaction that they make. So that would be raise your rates. So get new students, raise your rates, or increase the lifetime value of your client. So that would be getting your student to stay for as long as possible. And then instead of making like $300 off them for like 2 or 3 months, if they stayed for like 8 years, you'd make $15,000 or something from them. So those three ways of thinking about growing your business changed everything for me, because I went from thinking, oh, I always need new students, and oh, I don't know how to manage these students, and it's really busy and stressful, to, oh, maybe there's different ways of thinking about running my studio to bring in more revenue without actually even necessarily increasing our student count. So that's something that's helped us a lot as we move forward. We have grown, but our revenue grows faster than our student count, because I'm constantly rethinking how we charge for our classes and our different offers that we have at the studio. So that's just an introduction to all of this. So yeah, it takes small steps. So this stuff doesn't happen overnight, but that's why I have that book, and the Drum Educators Network course is giving you those small steps. So this stuff will take. It's not going to take you a month. It's going to take 6 months, 8 months to a year of like determined work to change your entire studio and make it run on autopilot. And yeah, that's it. So it's, you got to put the work in. um so yeah, when I started implementing this stuff, it was very slow, but at some point, I think our income by the second year doubled, and then the next year it actually doubled again. So and last year we grew our gross revenue by 35%. So it still grows a lot. And this is just, I still use the same principles that I'm going to teach today. There's no magic to it. And it just really comes from being smart about the way that you run your studio, the way that you find students, and the offers that you make at your studio. So I'm just going to set a timer. So I have 35 minutes to get through this. I'm trying to challenge myself because I tend to go too deep on things, and then I don't have time for everything. So yeah, now it's your turn. So I'm interested in what you do as a drum studio owner, or what your goals are if you haven't started your studio. So you can type them in the chat. I just want to know kind of where you're at. And yeah, just out of curiosity, this is also going to go on YouTube later. So if you're watching this video later, please just write in the chat, what is your drum teacher journey, or music teacher, if you're also, this is for music teachers, but I feel like drum teachers were kind of our own special breed. So that's why I do this the Drum Educators Network is mostly catered towards drum teachers. So the Passion to Profit framework is has 7 different categories. The first one is simple marketing strategies. So I put simple because it doesn't have to be complicated, and I'll show you how I make it as simple as possible. Auto scheduling and auto payment. That's part of the time saving teacher framework. But I put this in early because if you start growing quick and you haven't got to the rest of the book, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I just talk about the auto scheduling and auto payment. Those are like day one for like automation. There's a whole bunch of other stuff like communications with students and like lead generation and exit forms when people leave, but and day-to-day communications. But for now, we're just going to I'll talk about those two things very briefly. And then I'm going to talk about curriculum, which is something that a lot of teachers miss, is curriculum. And then many different offerings. That's sort of the geometric thinking that Jay Abraham teaches, is not just teaching one thing, like not just teaching private one-to-one lessons. Thinking about, it doesn't have to be 20 different things, and it doesn't have to be things that like you're not interested in, but just thinking about what you're offering in a different way. You can bring different types of people in, and sometimes merge different people's interests into like 2 students at a time or 3 students at a time. So like semi-private or group classes. And then the number one most commonly missed opportunity to increase revenue. That's the little cliffhanger. So you got to watch till the end to get to that. And then building a referral program. That's super important to sort of getting your new students on autopilot. And then the last one is a long-term strategy, which is community building, which is one that I probably focus on the most at my studio. And I think out of everything, that one helps the most to keep like people for the long term, is building a community and making people feel like they belong. So the Passion and Profit framework part 1, this is the marketing aspect. So there's 5 things that I look at when I'm thinking about marketing, and I work on the parts that I think are the weakest at that time, and I try to strengthen those. So always kind of, it's like you have a team, and you get, once the weakest player is stronger, then your team is stronger. So Google ranking, social media, that's organic social media. I'm not going to talk about paid ads today because that's this whole other thing. And a lot of people rely too much on paid ads, and that's tactical. That's not strategic. As soon as you turn off your ad, your students stop showing up. So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about long-term growth. And so Facebook ads and that kind of thing, while they're very beneficial, if you don't have a strong foundation, then there's really, this is my opinion, but you really shouldn't bother with the Facebook ads. You need to create a strong foundation first. And then when you run the ads, then it's just a supplement to what you've already created. So strategic postering and flyering, public events, and partnerships. Oops, it went to the next one already. Okay, so Google ranking. Actually, I'll talk about number 2 and 3 first. So SEO, there's a trillion resources on SEO. That means that you're optimizing the search engine so that it puts your site at first for like drum lessons in your city, like Drum Lessons Montreal. When you type that in, we're at number 1. So that's because I worked on my search engine optimization. I looked up keywords and I put them on my website, and I created my meta tags and meta descriptions for every page on my website, so that when Google looks at the website, it knows exactly how to put it. And then it looks at the traffic you bring into your website to rank it. It's like authority, basically. The next part is Google My Business. So Google My Business takes like an hour to set up, and we get a ton of traffic and new students from there. We get people calling us directly from Google My Business. Probably, I think it's like 5 to 10 per month people call us. And when I answer the phone, I tend to convert at roughly like a 40-50% rate. So you can imagine that if I catch some of those calls, it's like a really high chance that I'm going to convert those to students. So that's Google My Business. That's going to take you an hour or two to use, to figure out how to set it up, and it's going to bring people into your studio. And then the third one, which I put first, is to create blog posts about drumming topics. So what that does is it brings in other traffic than just like people looking for private drum lessons. You might bring in people, like if you do a really nice article on paradiddles. I'm saying paradiddles because I did a paradiddle article a few years ago that I don't know if it's just if you look up paradiddles, or it's like how to practice paradiddles, or how to, I need to look it up again. But we rank on page one for that article. And then I also rank on page one for an article I wrote on how to develop your weaker hand. So I made 12 exercises. I shot YouTube videos. I embedded the YouTube videos on the blog. And that article, somehow people look up that topic, how to improve your weaker hand. And so that brings a whole bunch of traffic to our website. I also made a booklet for that. We are getting so much, we get so much traffic from that blog post that I made a booklet and I sell it in the store. And every 2 months, I sell a $5 booklet. So yeah, you can make like a little bit of revenue. Some people make a lot, but they work on that like really hard, their blog. So the blog just brings in new traffic to your website. Yeah, so that's it. So Google ranking, those three things combined, if you look at those three things, that would take you maybe like 2 or 3 months. The Google My Business takes like 1 or 2 hours. The SEO might take like 2 weeks or something of just like research and implementing on your website. And then the blog stuff, it takes as much time as, do as many blog posts as you can do. I think I did maybe a dozen, and I worked really hard on them for 3 or 4 months I spent on these blog posts. I would really have a lot of fun with them and shoot videos and put them on YouTube and then embed them on the blog post. So they would get people from the blog to YouTube and from the YouTube to the blog. So, and we're talking like 100 or 200 people per video. Like it's not a lot, but out of those few hundred people, some of them will click from time to time on the link to my website. So then we're just bringing in more traffic to the website. So that's Google ranking. And so we ranked number one. We ranked number one, I think, after 6 months of me putting in this time. We got to the first page. And then a few months after that, we were number one. And now it's been probably almost 10 years that we've been ranked number one. And as a drum studio, so we're considered sort of an authority in our city for drumming, for drum education. It would be really hard for someone like another music school to come in and like take us down from that number one spot. So basically, we ranked number one, and for Drum Lessons Montreal, and also the same in French, Cours de Batterie Montréal. And so I don't have to do any paid ads for Google, because we would basically, there'd be a sponsored ad, and then there'd be us right below. So there's no point. Social media. So this is organic social media. So the way that I look at it is like each channel's used slightly different. Although I might sometimes, when I'm really busy, because I do a lot of running the studio on my own, I'll post like the same thing on some of the channels. But when I'm being strategic and I have time to think about this stuff, then it's that, adult students and parents are on Facebook, people from 30 years old to 50 years old. Same goes for Instagram, but also like more advanced drummers. So there's like Instagram drummers. So we actually teach advanced drummers and professional drummers. And so I make sure to put videos of, often it's me, I just show the advanced exercises that I practice, or we put up some of our like kind of, I don't want to say best, because it's hard to quantify or qualify skill level, but we put up some of like our more skilled drum students. We put features of them on our Instagram channel. Then LinkedIn, I'll share the other posts, but sometimes I put like questions or articles about drumming, or some. I like to read, go on Google Scholar and look up studies about the brain and music and that kind of thing. So I would share those things on LinkedIn on the drum studio page, just to show that we're thinking about it as like a business, and also from a way of like, we care about our students, which is very true. I really care about our students. So we show like, we read studies about music and how to improve our teaching and all these different things. So that stuff we share on LinkedIn. And then TikTok, we make funny videos with the students and teachers. So if you want to go check us out, Studio Drum Montreal on TikTok, there's lots of like silly videos that we do with the teachers, or sometimes with the students, just like have fun. That's what TikTok is entertainment. So we treat it like that. So that's social media. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I would say choose like 2, 3. We chose 4 channels, but just kind of focus on a few of them. And yeah, I would say like Facebook and Instagram, I think of kind of the same thing. So, you can post the same thing. You might have to format them differently, depends on what you're making, like a reel or a post or whatever. But and then LinkedIn is just good. I think a lot of music teachers miss that, but it looks up because a lot of our students and parents, because you get it tells you when someone looks you up. We A lot of people look me up, and I recognize, I'm like, oh, that's such and such as a parent. So they want to know that I'm a professional and that I take myself seriously. So that's why LinkedIn is good. And if you have a silly side, I definitely do. If you do, then I would say get a TikTok account. But it don't if you aren't like if you're not into that making fun kind of content with students and stuff, then don't worry about it. So I have a little bit of allergies in the spring. The next one is strategic promotion. So it's a numbers game. So if I put up a poster, say in a cafe, I'll get a call like once. The numbers. I don't have exact stats, but it's like I've been doing this for 23 years. So I'll get a call if I put up one poster. I'll get a call every like 3 months from that one poster. So what I try to do is I try to put up like 10, 15 posters at a time. So we get a call like maybe every 1 or 2 weeks from our posters. But in theory, if it was once per 3 months, you get a call. If you put up 90 posters in the city, you get a call every single day. So it's not exactly how it works, but something like that. Basically, the more places you can put your posters, and I'm talking like a drum lesson poster, just putting drum lessons, phone number. I'm gonna say something real quick, a tip about that, because I'm a big marketing nerd. If you haven't noticed, I like marketing a lot. I've done a lot of different testing and posters, and the simpler the better. We had this beautiful poster that I worked on last summer. I just was trying to make one for younger kids, like parents, to say, "Oh, we teach younger kids." And it's super nice, but it just like it gets a few call it gets some calls, but it's not as much as the one that's black and white that says drum lessons, all ages, call now, and then like the QR code to the website. So and it has like the logo in the bottom or something. It's like so almost empty, but that one actually gets way more calls. So you don't put too much writing, just people want drum lessons, they're going to see it, drum lessons, and you don't need to put all the bullet points and the information. They can call you to get that stuff. They just want to, it's just saying, hey, here's drum lessons, call this number. So the simpler the better with the posters. Flyering, so that's like handing out at public events, that kind of thing. The number, it's not 2%, it's lower than that. I think I put that as like a placeholder, but it's like 0.5% or something like that. So you have to handle a lot of flyers. Like if you hand out 100 flyers, you might not even get one call. So you got to hand out 200 flyers to maybe get a call. So that's a lot of flyering, But if you get like, I've paid my teenage students to go and hand out flyers at concerts, so they can hand out like 400 flyers, and then we might get 1 or 2 calls from that, and then we convert one of those people as students. So the idea is that it's outside of a concert, because that's where they've seen like music and people come out inspired. So you're kind of like, some people say, oh, I decided I like drums when I was watching Franz Ferdinand at the big venue in town, and the drummer was playing a solo, and I said, wow, I'd love to learn about that. And then you come outside and there's someone handing you a flyer for drum lessons. So you're kind of catching them at an emotional, inspired moment. For the don't do door to door, that's just my experience. I've done a lot of door to door. I've done it myself. I've paid students to do it. We've done one time I did 3 days of flyering with a student. We did it like 15 hours or something like that, and we handed out. We just did like half of an entire municipality. Like I took one side of the street, Hook took the other. We did street, next street, next street. We just did that for days, and I got 0 calls from that. 0 calls. So, and that was way above the whole like 1 call per 200 people. Like it was maybe 1,500 people or doors or something, and we got 0 calls. So if you want to do door to door, that's cool. But I really tried. I did it several times, and I made different types of flyers and did different parts of the city and all that stuff. And I never even had a single call from it. So next one is partnerships. So partnerships can be anything from just sort of like putting each other on the website and sending each other business. So, for example, if your local music store, they put your cards at the counter, and anytime people ask about music lessons, they send them to you, then that's some form of partnership. And then whenever your students want to buy drumsticks or drum heads, then you send them there. So that can be considered a partnership. It could go more, even more deeper, like collaborating on workshops or big events and that kind of thing. So that can also be a partnership, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can just be like, that you're the one that they call, that they give your number to people when they want drum lessons, so that when they walk into Joe's music shop in your town, that Joe is always giving your business card, because you guys are kind of helping each other out and sending each other business. So that can be a partnership. In the school system, it could be that once a year you go in and do a workshop in the music classrooms at a school, and whether it pays or not, it could be just like you go in and do a 2-hour workshop once a year for the students, for the to be allowed to hand your business card to the students so that they can give them to your parents. So that could be a partnership, is like you do that once a year. Or again, it can be collaborating on like a big event, like you do a performance in front of the whole school once a year, or every semester or something. So there's that. And then music schools that don't offer lessons. So there's some music schools that focus on like classical, or they just aren't set up to make too much noise. So you want to get your number with those music schools so that they're sending people to you, because if there's a music school with like a couple hundred students, those students have like siblings and parents and stuff, and some of those people want to learn drums. So that's, you want to get into music schools that don't offer drum lessons. Music rehearsal studios. So our most long-term partnership comes with a music rehearsal studio, where I had my first studio. So they've been referring clients to us for years, and we've been referring, like, our students book practice time, have used their recording studios and participated in a lot of their events at their rehearsal studio over the years. So that's been the most fruitful partnership, and that's come in many different forms over the years. Like at Christmas, we run a promo where if someone books 10 hours of solo practice drum time, I give them a free lesson. So that's something that they put on their mailing list that probably has like, thousands and thousands of people. They'll send that as a promotion, as a promo. So then once or twice a year, I teach a free lesson to someone who bought 10 hours of practice time. So they're kind of serious about what they're doing. And then with the hopes that they become a student. Next one is community centers. So it's sort of similar to the schools. You can offer some sort of workshop or teaching a class at the community center, and the same thing with the youth center. You could actually, with the youth center, you could do something like offer a half hour a week of like a free, like they can send a kid once a week to your, and give them a free class or something, and then they'll refer people from the youth center. You can promote the drum lessons there or something. So it could come in the form of something like that. These are just the types of partnerships, and basically what you should do is just go and talk to people, start developing relationships, and just be open-minded to what it could become. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be very informal, like them giving your number out and you sending them some business or something. But if it's a good fit, you guys, there could be a lot of good business happening. Festivals, so you can do, you know, asked to do performance in festivals, or on a side stage, or in the crowd, or have something to promote your studio, and then maybe give a promotion. If people bring the ticket stub, they get a half price lesson or something like that. That could work really well. And then the last one is other local small businesses. So in the areas where I have my studios, I go and I shop. I buy groceries, or I buy a coffee, the local cafe, or I go to the electronics store and I buy a speaker cable, that kind of thing. So I don't do this all the time, because sometimes it's not appropriate, but I will often bring up the fact that I own a business in the area, because that just puts me on their radar, and I put them on my radar. So we get referrals from we've gotten referrals from the local gym, from one of the cafes. Um, I should think about this more because we get calls sometimes and I'm like, "Oh, you know the person who works at Remax. That's interesting," because we tried to get a sponsorship from Remax, so we were talking with them. So, yeah, so that's just being friendly and going and checking out the other businesses and just telling them that you're there, and then also making a point to, whenever possible, sending business to them, and so that they'll mention that it's from you. So, yeah. The next part is auto scheduling and auto payment system. So I'm just going to talk about this for a minute and why I swear by my music staff. Yeah, that's it. So actually, I'm going to go back. Auto scheduling and auto payment systems. If your studio starts growing and you don't have this stuff together, it's going to get really overwhelming. So the first thing you want to do when you've committed to growing your studio even more than it is now is figuring out a way to do scheduling and auto payment and also auto invoicing in a way that is like you do as little as possible. So we use a thing called My Music Staff, which is a software for music teachers. That's it. Why I swear by My Music Staff. So I can do all the invoicing. A lot of our students do auto payments in the system, and auto scheduling. Some of the scheduling they can't do, like the private lessons. It's a little bit limited, but group classes they can do. And My Music Staff is actually improving the self booking that systems. But the students can cancel classes, and you can set your parameters for like we have a thing where they're allowed to give 48 hours notice to cancel a class, and it's credited to the next month. But that's if they do it on My Music Staff and they do it themselves. And if they cancel with less than 48 hours, say they cancel with 38 hours, they get charged for that class. So then everything is auto adjusted. So I don't ever have to talk to that student. And we get a 20, 30 actions a day on My Music Staff from our students. People doing payment stuff, people doing booking group classes, canceling classes. There's a resource section, there's a practice log, all these different things. So it's been really beneficial for us. And you pay, I think it's like $6 per teacher. I think it's $15 a month at the beginning, like for one teacher. And then you pay like I think it's $5 or $6 a month when you add a new teacher. So we have 12 teachers now, or yeah, I think we're bringing it, I think we're 11 and we have a new one coming in soon. Um, and so I pay like $75 a month for 12 teachers and over 200 students, and also all the inactive students, waiting list, new leads, everything is managed in this. And I pay $75 a month, and we make way more. The return on investment is incredibly high. And I hope My Music Staff doesn't see this video, because I'm going to say that they should be charging like triple to have that sort of efficiency to run a business. It's the value is incredible. So it's not perfect. And some people prefer Opus One that just charges a flat rate. I think it's $100 a month, and then you can have unlimited students. But if you're just one teacher, you shouldn't be paying $100 a month to run your studio. You can be paying $15 a month. It's maybe they probably brought up the rates at this point, but really, like, I was using it when it was just me, when I had like 20, 30 students. But I wasn't using the automation, but I just got it for like the scheduling and the invoices. And it just was like a game changer for me. Yeah. So even if you're just working on your own and you have like 10, 20 students, I would just say to get it and start learning it, so that as you grow, you don't get overwhelmed ever. You start with a solid foundation. The next one is curriculum. So I have 11 minutes left. So that's what I tend to talk about the marketing stuff too much at the beginning, which it seems I did. But so the part 3 of the Passion to Profit framework is curriculum. So curriculum provides um, a number of benefits for your studio, but one is that it gives your students a structured learning pathway. So it's not sort of like before I developed a curriculum, I had kind of a curriculum in my head, but it wasn't very like it was structured, but I would sometimes miss things, or I'd go to the wrong thing at the wrong time. So eventually I made a book. It's like with all my methods, and now I know my system, and sometimes I go page by page, but I can also use the curriculum to kind of like jump back and forth. So it creates a structured learning pathway. which is great for attracting and retaining students because it makes you look more legitimate. It gives you a more professional image. And then if you have other students, it creates a consistency across teachers. So we have, because we have like 11, 12 teachers, it's like they use the curriculum, but we're not super rigid about it. But it's still that it's there and that they use it so that it's like there's a structure and a consistency across the teachers. And then it just helps with like scaling. If you end up keep growing, you can kind of, you know, what the teachers are teaching and what's happening in the classes in terms of like the pedagogy. So that can really help just keep a cohesiveness with your program. And that when you tell people about your studio, it's like you know exactly what's going on. So it's not vague and that, oh, we're teaching them the basics. It's like, no, we have a structured curriculum, we have exams, we have all these different things. And then you can make some money. We don't sell like a ton of books, like maybe 5 or 6 a month. So it's more like to the money to print more. But what it does is it creates a professional image and it gives people a comfort of like that their learning kind of pathway is being taken care of. Types of curriculum, so beginner books, intermediate books, group classes, different genres, different types of techniques, a song book. Like there's all these different ideas you can do with curriculum. But the more things that you organize, for, like what you do. So say if you teach beginners, intermediates, you teach a lot of rudiments, and you teach jazz. Make curriculums for each of those, and that just has to be like we get them printed and spiral bound at a local printing shop, and I pay $5 a copy, and I order 100 at a time. So, but if it's just you could order 20 at a time. You might pay a little bit more, but you know you'll make $6 or $7 off each book. And again, it's not to make a whole bunch of money; it's just to structure and legitimize what you're doing. um, Different offers. So this is passionate profit framework number 4, which is creating different offers. So aside from just offering private lessons, actually, give me 1 second. I'm just going to check that. We're still recording. Okay, cool. So let me see. To be continued. So the next one is different offers. So different offers are what it says, different offers, but it's a lot of times teachers will kind of think of like teaching drum lessons just like, oh, I give private one-to-one lessons, which is completely valid. And that's probably, it's my favorite. Actually, I really like the group classes a lot. I make them kind of like a party, and that's literally one of my students said yesterday, oh, I miss your group classes, it was like a big party every week. So just have a lot of fun. I would put on Johnny Cash while we're working on our singles at the beginning, and then switch to some salsa music while we're working on our doubles, and then work on improvisation. And it's a lot of fun, the group classes. But the idea is that you have different things that you can offer for different people. So some people, you know, if they call you and they're like, oh, you do one-to-one lessons, and then you never hear from them again, maybe they were looking for group classes, maybe they're looking for a social environment and more of a community aspect, which is what I talked at the beginning. I talked about community. That's how you build long-term growth for your studio. Long-term sustainability is by focusing on the community aspect. So that's what group classes can bring to the table. Semi-private lessons can be like people who it's like fun for them, but they don't mind learning with someone else. And also people who maybe want, who don't have the, like, say if you charge like 50, 60 bucks an hour for your privates, maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they can only afford like 35 or 40 bucks an hour. So if you pair them with someone, it becomes more cost effective for them. And then we have a program called the Little Drummers Academy. So we teach kids under 6 years old. We have little kids taking private lessons who are 2 years old. They take 20, actually, some of them take 10-minute lessons. And it's just having fun playing like Disney music and stuff. But we have these kids learning actual drum beats from like 2 years old. So these are the different types of offers. There's other things too. You could offer like an ensemble class, like a percussion ensemble, or like a rock band class or something too. So and now, drum roll, this is number 5, which is the cliffhanger. So the number 1 most commonly missed opportunity to increase revenue is what? Da da da. It's simple. Raise your rates. Start charging more for your time. give more value to what you do and value yourself more. So, um, if if you price yourself at the same as everybody else or even below to try to bring in people, then people are just basically will compare you with price, and it's not, you basically are just saying that you're the same as everybody else. But if you charge a little bit more, might seem kind of like cheeky or something, where you're like, well, I'm not, maybe I can't offer more than anybody else, but people will actually think of you more as like maybe more as an authority of what you do. You're more confident or something because you're charging above other people. So you might turn away people, but then when you get students, you're making more hourly. So it could be as simple. I'm going to show some calculations in a second, but it could be as simple as like you teach less, but you make the same money. So then you get some of your time back. So that's super important. So here's a little trick. This is called grandfathering, and it's basically when you're around 75% capacity at your studio. So whatever that number is, if you're teaching 4 days a week, 5 days a week, if your capacity is 10 students when you get to your seventh, eighth student, or if you're can take 30 students once you get to like 25 students, you should raise your rates by 10 to 25% for the new students. So that means that you once you're at 75%, you're not eating butter and bread every for 3 meals a day. It means that you can pay your rent and stuff. So it's not a big risk to do this if you turn away a few people. But essentially, you raise your rent on the new students coming in, and then as the old students leave, you now have a new rate. So what it essentially does is it raises your pay over time without penalizing your current loyal students. And with your current students, you should raise your rates like a little bit each year. Like we raise our rates with our current students like $2 per year. But every like 6 months, I raise my rates $2 or $3 for the new students. So we're just like slowly increasing our rates. And it's very rare that people say it's too expensive. And if it is too expensive, we have the group classes. So then we filter people in the group classes, and they pay it's close to 30 an hour, and we can get up to 6 people in a group class. So that we're making $180 an hour for group classes. So, and those people are paying less than they would for the privates. So for them, it's affordable. So you're basically making different price points for people, and then they choose what fits their budget. So that's being more strategic about pricing, and not just like saying like I'm going to raise my rate by $1, and if I teach 1,000 hours this year, I'll make $1,000 more. It's like that's really great, and you should do that. But it's thinking strategically about how you charge for your lessons. So our gross revenue every year, it goes up. So does our student. Like I said this earlier, the student count goes up, but our revenue goes up faster than the student count because we're raising our rates for new students, and then we lose people over time. That's how it works. And then new people coming in pay the new rates. So someone might leave at $49 an hour, like an old student, but then if we're at like 56, then the next student comes in, we're making $7 an hour more. So then the person who stuck around for like 8 years and you made like 15 grand off of, you didn't, oops, I keep hitting the arrow. You don't like charge them more because it's, anyways, you do how you want, but that's how we do it at our studio, and it works really well. It says I have 1 minute left for these slides. So I'm going to just go through this quick. So this is a quick calculator. I just made up some numbers. If you charge $40 an hour for 25 hours a week, if you taught year round, you'd make $52,000 a year. That's great. Sorry if you can hear my baby. I think my girlfriend's trying to put her down for a nap. So that would be $52,000. Now imagine you only do $40 an hour for 20 hours, and then you raise your rate to $50 an hour. So you have 5 hours a week of that. Now you're at 54,600. So you actually aren't teaching more. You've made $2,600 more revenue. And then some more of your old students leave, 10 more hours of students. So then you're doing $40 an hour at 10 hours, $50 an hour at 15 hours. Boom, you're at almost $60,000. So that's $7,800 of increased revenue without doing anything. Okay. And then if you eventually all your old students leave and now you're at $50 an hour, that's 65 grand. So that's $13,000 a year more. So, you know, this is all stuff that I teach in the Drum Educators Network, the course pack, and also in the book. So if you buy the book, How to Run a Successful Drum Studio, so these I like to put little cliffhangers. This is a free class, but it's like I'm only teaching for like 40 minutes. And also I put a lot of time into this. So the ebook is $10. If you want to get all this, the answers and everything, the answers are in that book. So there's ways, calculations. This is involving group classes, the different offers, um, price points, everything to get to $80,000 a year. And then for one teacher, if you do it really smart and you're strategic about all of this, you can make $100,000 a year teaching drums at your studio. So that's if you are really putting the time and the work in getting your systems together. You get your pricings working for you and the amount of students you can take and the type of studio you have. You have your different offers, everything. You can make up to $100,000 a year as a teacher. Some people say it's only 50, but that's only if you're just teaching private lessons. You're going to make about $50,000 a year, which is perfectly fine. That's a great salary, and that's a respectable salary. But if you want to earn more, I have a daughter now, and these types of things I have to think about. So these are things that I think, how can I earn more while still creating value at my studio and making a community and have it where people love to be there. So I'm not trying to gouge my students. I'm just changing the way that I structure my classes, and then the people who that works for find me, and then they're happy there, and then I'm happy because I earn more. So, and by the way, this is our studio, because we're 12 teachers, 200 students. The gross revenue is way more than that. I'm not going to give out numbers. That's private information. But though this 100K thing is if it's like one teacher with a completely full schedule. If you're running a business and you hire other teachers and stuff, basically the sky's the limit. So, that could be 150K per year or something if you even have one or two other teachers. And that's stuff in the Drum Educator Network, the mastermind group, the weekly calls. There's the course module on the website. This is all stuff that is being taught there. So if you're interested in this and interested in increasing your earnings, the price to the book is $10. So imagine you get a book and you go through it and you boost your income by like $20,000 a year. I think that's $10 well spent. Or if you subscribe to the Drum Educators Network, which I'm going to get to in a second, which costs more than $10, but getting one-to-one coaching and also having it's like a mastermind group. So drum teachers pitching ideas off each other and helping each other out. That can have a huge value and can drastically increase your revenue. We increased our gross revenue last year by 35%. And I was in another mastermind group before that. It was really, really expensive to be in there, and I only did it for a few months. But those types of things, people are going to find holes in what you're doing immediately because you're getting an objective view. And so whatever you're paying at that point, it doesn't even matter, because you're just like I mentioned the word geometric. So you're like geometrically growing your studio at that point by getting help from other professionals. So anyways, I'll get to that in a second. Referral program. So in our in the Den, that's the Drum Educators Network. It's called the Den. In the Den course modules, there's the referral rocket. It's all my favorite referral things. Things like bring a friend, get $5 off the class. It's because then they're bringing people into the studio to watch the classes, so they get a $5 discount on their class. But like you might get, if 20 people bring in friends and 8 of them sign up, you're going to pay off those $5 discounts in like 1 hour class afterwards. So referral programs. The last one is community building. So community building increases retention. It can be an enhanced learning environment because people help and support each other. And student referral. So people, when there's a community, people bring others into it who they think will fit in that community. So even people bring their friends to our events who aren't even drum students, just to show them what is happening. And it could be like our drum karaoke night. We have that once a month, or we have a picnic once a year, or we have just random get-togethers. I'll say, this month I want to hang out with my students, so I'll invite them on Wednesday night after the group class to come and hang out and have pizza or something. It improves the teacher satisfaction because now they're getting to know their students and the other teachers on a personal level. So it's not just a private lesson job where they come in, they teach a bunch of lessons, and then they leave. It becomes that the teachers get to know each other and the students. So they form deeper relationships with each other. And then that creates a stronger brand identity because people start talking about you outside of your studio. And we sell t-shirts, and it's like, I feel so proud when people are wearing my t-shirt, and I feel like I don't want to talk to them, but it's sort of like a source of pride that they're also part of something too. You know, they can wear that proudly, that they're part of a community that goes beyond just like them taking week to week private lessons. So that's it. So this is the end. Oh, here's a little case study. So I think it was about a year ago, I got a call from a music school that was struggling. They were actually ready to close their doors. So they've been in business for 8 years, and they just were having troubles with managing the teachers, and they're getting their numbers up, and then their revenue was not anywhere near where it needed to be. So we did, I think it was a 2 or 3 hour meeting. So I charged for that. And, it's because it's a business strategy meeting, they paid for it, some couple $100. But basically, I found the holes in the way that they were organizing the classes and scheduling things, also how they were managing their teachers. And they called me a few months later, and they had increased their revenue by $20,000 gross revenue. And they also hired 3 new teachers. So they went from about to close their doors to getting a whole bunch of revenue into their studio, and also then hiring more teachers and introducing new instruments to the studio. So that's a case study of the coaching that I offer that wasn't from the Drum Educators Network. But those are the types of things when you think about optimization or scheduling efficiency or managing the overall operations at your studio. These types of things combined it's more than just finding new students. It's how to manage everything. You can find like the little holes and stuff and drastically increase the revenue at your studio. So yeah, would you like to be our next case study? That's it. So if you work with me or are part of the Drum Educators Network and you become a success, I'll be super happy to talk about you and promote your studio. But you have to be a part of the Drum Educators Network community first. So, okay, so we only have like 2 more minutes. So what I'm gonna do, we didn't even get to the false belief stuff. This is stuff like false beliefs. Marketing requires advanced tech skills. That's completely untrue. And in the book, if you read my book, you're going to see that it's really basic stuff. You can build a website in like 2 days and with templates, and then work on Google ranking, and you're going to get a flow of students. And Facebook, like social media marketing, is not hard at all. You just post stuff and engage with people. And then only the most talented drummers can teach successfully. Well, that's not true because I'm not the most talented drummer, and I have tons of students, and I also teach professionals. So, and I'm not the most talented drummer. So that's completely not true too. That one's for people who, it's like the imposter syndrome. We think like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Well, just go out and do it and start teaching. Ask to teach your friend's kid or offer some free lessons at within your friend pool, that kind of thing. And, just do it. That's how you're going to get good at it. So with the last like 2 minutes, I'm not sure if when I share the screen, let me see. I'm going to stop sharing so I can switch slides. You can see me squinting because one sec here. So, here, oh yeah, here's the next one. My baby's crying. So let me ask you a question. So today I only taught secret number 1, which is the Passion to Profit framework. If that alone would help you to raise the revenue of your studio by 5,000 a year, 10,000, 20,000, $30,000 a year, could you see yourself achieving this success that you've dreamed about? If you dreamed about it, if you haven't thought about it, then think about what do you want to do? Why are you watching this video? Or why are you interested in teaching drum lessons? So if it's a passion, then these are things that you need to consider to make it a success and live that dream. So if you just did secret number 1, the Passion to Profit framework, Could you see yourself achieving some success? You have to answer that for yourself. Let me ask you another question. Are you excited watching this stuff? Does this excite you to learn that you can be empowered to grow your studio and run it in a way that is your choice and that you get to choose to build the studio of your dreams? Is that exciting for you? Again, you have to answer that for yourself. I'm not going to speak for myself. I think being a drum studio owner with all of the students and teachers and running the Drum Educators Network, you can probably guess if I'm excited about what I do or not. One more question. Do you feel overwhelmed? Because I just went through 7 points and they all had these different things. So do you feel overwhelmed by this? If you just watch this video, like, would it feel overwhelming just to step out in the real world and try to deal with all of this? I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to sway people's thoughts. So do you feel overwhelmed thinking about that? Yes or no? So if you feel overwhelmed, then and you do want to have the studio of your dreams, then that's it. So I've covered as much as I could, and this wasn't 60 minute. The whole thing is 60 minutes, but that was only like 40-minute class today. But there's takeaways that you can apply right away. In fact, if you rewatch this video once it goes on YouTube, you can get a lot out of it. I did this on purpose. I want to give away information to people for free. But if you really want to deep dive into what we have to offer, the Drum Educators Network, then there's special packages available and trials for people who are interested. So this will help you to integrate these strategies and not just kind of think about them, but it gives you the step-by-step kind of thing. One final question. Can I have actually 2 minutes of your time? Because I'm pretty much out of time now. But basically, the Drum Educators Network will help you to grow your studio faster, learn from top experts, attract more students, simplify your marketing, save time every week to increase your income, create better lessons, gain confidence in business, connect with peers, and scale without stress. So all of those things can be accomplished if you join the Drum Educators Network, the Den, or if you buy the book. That's like a great introduction, and it's very low. It costs $10, and I promise you, you will pay back the $10 price 1,000-fold if you implement even 10% of what's in that book. So it's just because I spent a whole bunch of time on it, so I get a few bucks here and there when people buy a copy. When you join the Drum Educators Network, you'll be able to get rid of marketing confusion, the fear of failure, student retention issues, underpricing your services, inconsistent income, feeling isolated, tech overwhelm, time management struggles, uncertainty about your next steps, and the stress of running a studio alone. That's what you're going to get rid of. So the first thing is what you'll be able to do, and these are the things you'll be able to get rid of. So yeah, we're out of time. So, this is a funny thing. Why you shouldn't start a drum studio? Because it's not scalable. Yes, it is. Because it requires tech skills. No, it doesn't. Only talented drummers can teach. That's not true. These are all false beliefs that people hold in their heads and that I've heard people basically just come up with a bunch of excuses why they don't get to live and have the studio that they really want to have. This is all stuff that's based on fear, and none of it is true. None of it is true. I can sit here and knock down all of these if I had another like half an hour. So yeah, maybe I'll do a video where it's just called knocking down your false beliefs. And yeah, actually I think I know my next video. So the Drum Educators Network, really quick, is weekly mastermind calls. So we do 1 or 2 one-hour calls per week where you get to talk about your studio and we all learn from each other. Sometimes there's one person on the call, sometimes there's 3. The Drum Educators Network is still small. There's not a million members in it right now. This is only a few months old. So the best time is to start now because you're going to get the most attention in those calls. Later on, there'll be more people, but there's still time for everyone to get in the hot seat and talk about what their problems are and that kind of thing. So that's it. I used to pay $350 a month for a once a month mastermind. So I'm talking 1 to 2 hours a week and for way less than that. So yeah. Okay. Next one is the framework. So the passionate profit framework, the success through authenticity framework, and the time saving teacher framework. Those are the three secrets that combined will make your studio bulletproof. So I'm working on a class for that with videos, and I'm going to sell it for $200 just for that. So that's included in the Den membership. This is for established drum studio owners, growing drum studio owners, and new drum studio owners. Everybody who wants to have a studio, don't hold back. So this is what if you did the mastermind calls for 3 months and bought the frameworks, you'd be paying $1,247. There's exclusive training modules. So again, that's the $200. I think I got the numbers wrong. Well, that's $200. That's also the same as the framework. So I need to adjust this. So then, yeah, done for you ad templates. So this stuff I'm working on right now, I'm basically going back through all of my most successful ads and ads that I've seen of other schools and screenshotting them and sharing my ads as well that work for me. So if you have got like a marketing agency to do your social media strategy and that kind of and do all the copywriting and the graphic design, you'd be paying about $500 to get all of that done. So that's included in the membership. So now you'd be at $1,941 if you subscribe to this for 3 months and you bought all of these different things. Then an automation installation guide. This is actually supposed to be 97. So that's it. Is I did this a while ago and I need to adjust it. So I'm going to sell an automation and template guide for $100. It's soon going to be in the store. I'm also working on that. So this stuff is new. I've just been doing this for a few months. So now if you got all of these numbers are wrong. We're at like about $2,000. But basically this is to get all of this stuff individually done would cost a lot of money. And basically what it comes down to is, you know, I'm just going to get to the price. Special offer for drum teachers. So it's $97 a month. So that includes the once or twice a week master classes. I'm also going to add on Fridays a accountability call. So 30 minutes where you can join and talk about what you did do or what you didn't do each week. So it holds you accountable for the work that you're doing. It includes the course module, all the ad templates, everything for $97 a month. You can do it once. This is 97 Canadian, so it's probably like 70 American or something, or 70 euros. That's it. So this is a low cost alternative, and that's it. I've spent about $5,000 on business training. So this is and I'm just giving all of my secrets and everything I've learned from all of that. So yeah, you've got two choices. Either you do nothing and you say, this is interesting, I'll think about it. That's perfectly fine. Or if you've been kind of not doing what you wanted to and need that kick in the butt, then I'm giving that to you right now. And I would say to take the leap and just try it for a month. Do it for a month, join the calls, do the course content, and then say that, give it a great shot, and then you'll know if it's for you or not. So I think that's a very like low cost attempt to build the studio of your dreams. And if you think that it's just total crap when you join, I'm just going to send your money back. If that's never happened, but if you join and you think the calls are completely worthless and that the educational materials are disorganized and like don't help you at all, then I'm just going to send your money back. So yeah, that's it. So that's the whole thing. $97 a month. The Drum Educators Network, the Den. You go to drumeducatorsnetwork.com. And that's it. I'm going to stop.